Hey there, I'm Lance and I'm a gamer.
And I'm Sam and I'm a non-gamer.
And we are Love to Hate, where we help gamers find great games to play with non-gamers.
And today we're looking at Avant Carde by Resonance.
Avant Carde is a deck builder game that has just cards, so this is just a card game. I guess it does have some tokens, but this is going to have you try and match up your cards kind of like Uno style, matching color for color or number for number, and you're just trying to do that as many times as you can with the 7 cards that you draw from your deck, and then using that to help you buy new cards to add to your deck so that you can string along more cards on future turns. And ultimately you're trying to get trophies in this one. It has an art collection theme to the game. Every card, it represents a piece of artwork, and so you're collecting pieces of art. But it's the player who's able to get the most trophies once all the trophies have been collected that is going to win this game. Let's go down to the table where I'll show you how this one works, and then we'll come back and share our thoughts on it as a gamer and non-gamer. All right, I have Avant Carde on the table. Let me show you guys about this deck builder card game in which you are going to be collecting art. That's what these pieces or these cards are right here. They're pieces of artwork. And they have numbers and colors on them, of course. And in addition to the different cards, you do have a first player token, you have some coins in the game, and you have a couple of diamonds out here. Otherwise, it is a card game. But the other really cool thing about the components here are these boxes. And yes, these are boxes. I know it doesn't really look like it the way that it is situated here on the table. But they double as the game board where you're going to have the cards placed out. And as you can see here, we've got one right here, we've got one right here, and we have the starter deck box. Now, what's really cool about these is that they make setup and teardown for this game extremely easy, and they keep everything organized, as you can see. Let me show you how this works. You're just going to untuck it from the top and the sides like that. You will untuck the different sides right here, and these will just unroll and have all the cards in them like you see right here. And so that's it. And then when you're ready to pack it back up after you've got all the cards in the spots where they're supposed to go, then you just roll the box back up, making sure that the cards are where they need to be, and then you'll tuck in the flaps, and then you would be good to go throwing it back in the box. But yeah, really cool. Now, let's talk about how this game works. Every player is going to have a starting deck of cards, and they're going to have all the same numbers, but the colors are going to be different and match with different numbers and such. And each deck is denoted by a different color icon here in the bottom left corner. But what's important to note about these cards are that they are awful. They are not very good cards. Really, the only cards that are going to be of any value for you are the 2s, as they actually match up with some of the numbers that you see out here in the market. This is the market out here. You've got 2 through 7. Your other cards in the games, your 1s, 13, 14, 11, 12, those don't match any of these numbers out here, and that's extremely important. Also, this 1 right here is actually really awful because not only does it match any of these numbers out here, it's a white card, and white does not match any of the colors that you see out here. In addition, this gray does not match either, nor do these 2 cards match each other in terms of color. And that's important because what you'll be doing in this game are playing cards from your hand and either trying to match the colors, as you can see here, those 2 colors match, but they don't match in the number, or the numbers. As you can see, those 2 cards match in terms of number. And so that's extremely important with the cards that you have. To start a round, all players will shuffle their cards and form a draw pile, which they'll keep in front of them, and then they'll draw 7 cards off the top of their pile. And you can do this part simultaneously because what you'll be doing after you have 7 cards is you'll be playing as many of the cards as you possibly can, again, matching color for color or number for number. And so looking at my hand right here, obviously I can match these 2s, and I can match the yellow and yellow here, but I can also match the blue and blue right there. So what would be a good thing to do on my turn is maybe play this blue 14 first, followed by the blue 2, because again, blue for blue. And now I can start playing these 2s, 2 and 2, and then I'm going to play my yellow 2, 2 and 2, and then I'm going to play this yellow 12 because it matches the yellow right there. And I've played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards. these 2 cards left over, I'm not going to be able to fit them in any way, so they'll go straight into my discard pile. And because I've played 5 cards, I have $5. And what that means is after everybody has figured out what's the best way to play their cards, trying to get as many cards played into their line of cards, then it's time to purchase cards from the market, starting with the first player. Again, I have $5 to spend, and I can buy anything in the market, and the number on the card is how much that card costs. So I could buy a 5 here, or I could buy something lower than that. Let's talk about what the different cards do, and that's where this tray comes into the game. Because each card has a special power. The 2s here, they're the perfectionists, and whoever ends up playing the most 2s in their line is actually going to earn an extra $1. So taking a look at my line right here, I do have 3 2s, and if I had the most, or if I was tied for the most of the 2s out of all the players, then I would earn an extra $1, and then I would have $6. The 3s here, they're going to let you trash a card and tuck a card. We'll talk about tucking cards here in just a second. The 4 is going to actually let you change the card's number or the color. You can't do both, however. So in other words, this either has to be a 4 and I can change the color on it, or it can be any number that I want it to be, but it has to stay the color that it is. The 5 here is the dealer. He's going to let you either draw another card off the top of your deck, or you just get an extra $1 to spend. You could use this, but actually you could just add it to whatever your score is if you can remember. The 6 here is the Trendoid, and that is a card that's going to actually copy the power of a previously played card. So if I had it at the end of my line, I could count it as another 2 because I have 2s played, and so that would actually add to another 2 in my line. The 7 here obviously is the best card, and that is the Critic. It's going to let you draw another card off your deck, and then if you've already played somewhere in your line before you played the 7, either a 5, a 6, or another 7, then you get to draw another card. So it's going to let you draw more cards into your hand, hopefully playing more cards into your line, earning more dollars. Now, I mentioned tucking cards. So this also is a good reminder of how what you do on your turn here. You can tuck a card once per turn. However, if you have 3s, you get to tuck extra cards. And by tucking a card, if you take a look out here and you don't like the colors that you see, because again, you want to try to match number for number or color for color, and you're thinking, well, I don't have a whole lot of red, obviously. I had the 1 that I discarded, but I'm really maybe working on blues and yellows. Then I could say, I don't like this red 6 here. I'm going to tuck it, and unfortunately it's purple, so that really didn't do me any good. But maybe it had been a yellow 6 or a blue 6, and I could maybe purchase that 6. So that's tucking a card. Now, the last thing that happens in this game is earning awards, which is the whole point of the game. If you take a look right here, anytime that you have $6 to spend, you will earn 1 award. And it will come from this pile that is over here off to the right. You'll take this card right here, and it's a trophy. And these are victory points. Whoever has the most trophies at the end of the game is going to be the winner. If you had $8 to spend at the end of your turn, you'll get 2 trophies. $10 gets you 3 trophies. $11 gets you 4 trophies. And then you get +1 if you have 6 more than that. So that's how you get trophies in this game. Now, the game is going to be, the end game is going to be triggered whenever you have a certain number of awards here, and it depends on your player count, obviously. Once you have a certain number of awards claimed by the players, if at that point more people are needing to finish out their turn and get more awards, that's where these extra awards come into play. Because just because this pile runs out doesn't mean that, there's no more awards to give. You do get to still get awards if you're due them before the game comes to an end. So that's the whole idea, is trying to earn as much money, playing as many cards into your line as you're able to do so, earning these awards. Now, if you don't end up spending all of your money at the end of your turn, you do get to earn 1 of these coins, and it acts as $1 for your future turn, your next turn, that you do get to add to your line and spend on cards. Also, at the end of a round, whoever has the fewest trophies earns this hidden gem, and it acts as $1 to spend on their next turn as well. And so there are ways to get extra dollars to spend with the dollars that you earn in your line to hopefully get you cards and trophies. Now, Cards that you purchase, they're going to go straight to your discard pile. Cards that you've played go into your discard pile. You would draw 7 new cards off the top of your draw deck. If your draw deck runs out, obviously you shuffle your discard pile and draw more cards till you have 7, and the game continues on until this pile of awards runs out. Now, you can play cards that will allow you to trash cards. Like I said, the 3 here is going to let you trash a card, which means to just simply choose a card that's either in your line or in your discard pile and trash it from your deck. So like this 13, it's not going to match on number for anything, and maybe I'm not going for purple, so I could trash it, and now it's out of my deck, leaving space for these better cards to show up in my deck, hopefully getting to the top and into my hand. There is one last thing to cover, and that is the fact that there are these other substitute cards to play for changing the different powers for the different cards. You do have 3 different types of sets here that you could be using to place on top of these cards, and that would change what they do throughout the course of the game, and that adds some replayability. I'm not going to go over what all the cards do. Just know that you have lots of different options for you to change up the game. Anyhow, that's what you have here with Avant Carde. Let's go back up top and share our thoughts on this one. And we're back, and now we're going to share our thoughts on Avant Carde from a gamer and non-gamer's perspective. So Sam, the first thing that I want to tell the people at home about this game is that you and I got to play test this and experience it you got to experience it with me at PAX Unplugged last December in Philadelphia. I got to try it first at Gen Con last August, and so we've played it a few times before we got our own copy right here, and this is our copy. We went out and bought this game, so that already is going to tell you a little bit about what we think about it, but we both walked away. I walked away at Gen Con thinking this is awesome, and then we both walked away at PAX thinking this is one of the best things that we got to play at both of those conventions. And so, we have really high thoughts on this just from the get-go on this game. But now we have our own copy. And so, Sam, why don't you tell the people what you think about this game?
I think I played very well the first time, and I very
not so well the second
time. But I had kind of forgotten how to play a little bit, so it took a little bit of
sure
memory. I think the person who taught us at PAX did a fantastic job, and Lance was then teaching.
It was the Resonant people.
Yes, they did a fantastic job of teaching it, which helped me to do better than when I was kind of remembering it and Lance was teaching it.
Yeah. I'm not as good as they are.
Yes. But no, it is a really fun game. Card games are typically not my...
They can just be hit or miss.
Yes,
they don't provide such a big, full experience as bigger games, box games do.
Yes, I think... Can I show them how it opens?
Yeah. Well, if you watch the rules portion of the video, you would see how it opens, but we can also show it to you guys right now.
Oh, wait.
We got to get these instructions and stuff out of here, but it's these boxes right here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so, you untuck it. And then you're going to open the sides too.
Clearly,
like
I've
that.
not set this up by myself. I just think that this is a very
rolls
cool
out.
aspect of it.
Yeah, it pulls a ludicrous. It just rolls out.
I guess we'll do it this way. But yeah, I think that this just is really very interesting. And this is what I remembered from PAX Unplugged is how the game laid out.
It's easy setup.
The deck building aspect, I think, is really interesting.
Yeah.
I enjoy deck building games, usually, just depending.
Yeah. We've had some success with some deck builders before.
It depends. If it's deck building to, fight each other, not interested.
Not so much.
But if it's deck building for only your own benefit, I think that's a lot of fun. And then the fact that you're starting with cards that ultimately you're trying to get rid of, that just they matter, but they're not as good as what you can get.
Right.
And using your cards as money to buy better cards and build that deck. It's just, I don't know. I feel like I'm not describing it well. But
I think the people at home, especially the gamers at home, will know exactly what you're talking about because those are some really classic deck building mechanics that you see in some other deck builder games. And I think that's something that this game takes and really does a nice job with it. And then it takes other familiar elements like the Uno type elements, like with the matching color for color and the number for number.
I think it sounds very basic, but then when you have the opportunity to add these cards that just
give you special powers.
give you special powers, and then you start really using that to your advantage and remembering, okay, I got this last time, so this is kind of the color I might want to focus on, or the number I might want to focus on, because you have the ability to whatever card's on top, put it behind. That's what I didn't do well the second time I played. The first time I played, I think I was more cognizant of what colors I had, and the second time I was just taking cards and I was realizing like very difficult to put these in order. I was focused more on the ability of the card more than the color, but I do think the color and the number matter a lot more than I remembered the first time. And so I think it's just a very basic game that is elevated to...
It works really well. I like to think of it as a very elegant game, because the rule set is very simple, straightforward. You're really doing one thing on your turn after you've lined up your cards and figured out how what's the best option for the cards you have, and that is spend your money, right? Like that's the one thing that you're really doing, is spending your money. But
I think the awards are so interesting too. Like you really want as many cards, but sometimes that means you need to do a round with not as many cards because you're trying to get rid of certain ones, or there is a really good strategy, and I think it teaches really good strategy.
Okay, very good. All right, let's get to pros and cons for this game. I think we have a lot of pros, a lot of things that we like about it, but let's simplify it down to just the bullet points here. What for you really stands out and makes this game a good game for non-gamers?
I think it's just a simple concept. Like ultimately you're trying to line up your cards to where either the number or the colors match and get as many as you can lined up.
I think anybody can understand
Period.
that.
So I think the idea is easy, and then you just slowly build on that. So I think depending on the gamer you're playing with, it's a good teaching opportunity, learning opportunity for non-gamers. But it's heavy enough for gamers to enjoy together.
Because one of the things I really, really like about this game is there's multiple paths to strategies that you can put into play with this game, right? Like Sam talked about the deck shredding. Like I want to focus on getting rid of some of those really bad cards because they're never going to connect on color, or they're never going to connect on number, right? Like those are bad cards. And so there's that idea. But then there's also the idea of trying to pick in cards that match well with the colors that you really find to happen a lot in your deck, right? Because not all the decks are created, they're created equal, but they're different colors, right? And so I want to focus in on those colors. So there's a lot of different things that you could be doing with your turn. And as a gamer, that really keeps me tied into the game, that it's not just a random dumb luck of, oh, I got really bad 7 cards this turn. I can't do anything this turn. Well, if you're building your deck up good, then it might mean that the next turn you're really going to have a really good hand. And that's a fun thing with this one. I think another pro that we got to talk about with this one is the rollout factor of how quick this game is to set up. You really just untuck these boxes and they roll out and you're ready to go. So setup is simple with this one. And then after it's set up, it's kind of out there and it explains itself well, because it has all the instructions here on this box right here.
You each get your own little...
And you have your own starter deck, and you can change...
your own card that explains.
Oh, yes, you do, And you can change up what abilities the different cards that 2 through 7 do for you. So there is a replayability factor by changing these up, and you can play this game again and again and it not feel the same. So... All right, so anything about it that maybe doesn't work so well for you?
I wouldn't say doesn't work well, but could work better, is just as somebody who is visual but also dyslexic, so the numbers don't always correlate in my mind, is the iconography maybe could be slightly more clear.
Sure.
Since you can change what they mean each game, it's not where you could just memorize it.
Right, sure.
And that's what I had a hard time with the second time, because we were playing with more people, so it wasn't necessarily as close to me. And so I think from a distance, I'm like, oh, I
or if you're sitting on the other side of it, you can't read upside down.
Forgot what does that mean. So I think that's the only thing. And again, they don't mind explaining it to me again, or I wasn't the only one that felt that way. But I think if anything I could change, it'd just be slightly more clear on what each number does with each deck that you have out.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that that does happen happen in the game is that, what does 3 do again? Okay, well, what does 5 do again? And so there is that constant having to ask, what does each number do?
Like they each have a certain title, and that doesn't help me to remember.
Yeah,
what
no,
it
that
means.
doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't mean
It's
much
just a
anything.
title.
That goes with the theme.
I just need it to be like trash a card.
Yeah.
Switch a card.
Yeah, yeah. I do wish that because obviously they're trying to incorporate a theme into a fairly abstract game.
Yeah.
And the theme may sort of get in the way of understanding what does each card actually do for you. So I would agree with that a little bit. Sometimes it's almost a good thing for an abstract game to just be abstract and not have a theme to it. Maybe that would have been the case with this one. So, but I like the way it looks. I like kind of the odd art theme look to it. I don't know that it needed it to have that be attached to the game. So, okay, let's get to our scores here for Avant Carde. As you might guess, or at least I can't speak for Sam, mine's going to be fairly high. I'll go ahead and start since I already said that. There's a lot that I like about this game. I was really blown away from it when I got to try it at Gen Con. I was like, Sam, you've got to try this when we go to PAX in December.
We did it. I think it was our first day.
It was. It was one of the very first booths that we went to because I wanted her to try it out. And I'm so glad that it worked really well with her. I was going to be like, this whole trip is ruined if she didn't like it. But no, she really did like it. And so, yeah, we had to have a copy of it. And so we purchased one, pre-ordered it. And so I really like this one. Now, obviously, it is just a card game, and I put the word just in there because it's not a big box kind of going to give you that, campaign-like feel or that huge over-the-top experience. But for what it is fantastic, and I'm going to give it an 8.5. I really, really, really like this game. You may be seeing it on a top 10 list at the end of the year. I know it's early, but man, I really like this one.
I'm right there with Lance. I'm a little bit lower only because I feel like 8.5 is very high.
It is high. I like this game a lot.
I was going to say 8.3, so I'm still right there. We're
right.
still in the 8s. It's definitely very likely to be a game that hits our top 10 this year.
I just think it works really well for gamers and non-gamers alike. I think every time I've seen it played, every time I've played it, it's kept everybody invested, and everybody had a really good time playing it. And I think that's pretty rare for a game to do that with gamers and non-gamers alike.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, the game is Avant Carde. It is from Resin. Leave us some comments down below. Let us know what you think about this one.
Make sure to like and subscribe and push that bell button so you get notifications of all our new content.
I'm Lance.
I'm Sam.
And we are Love to Hate, where we try to bridge the gap between gamers and non-gamers. We'll catch you next time.